Ladies and gentlemen, Ty.
What's up?
Everybody look at the perfectly sideways screens and then look at Justin Cornell's not following some basic rules about 7 p.m.
Oh my God.
Your phone sideways. You know, it's,
All right, hold on, Nick. I got to jump
out there, guys.
Ty, what's up with the background? Where's the trophy?
Now, Ty, I
Huh?
have to tell you, I would have sent you this message about 10 minutes ago if Justin wasn't getting his cigar and mustache prepared so well for you.
All right. Yeah, it's like day 13. I still can't grow a beard. Just doesn't grow.
No matter what. Okay, I'm going to send Ty the link now and invite him in.
You look so pretty, almost like you just got out of the shower.
I did.
That's a cute handlebar.
Get some, Fraser.
And I've been going at this beard for so long, I don't know.
I'm not near tough enough for handlebars.
We should ask Ty if he can grow anything.
All right. Yeah, it's like day 13. I still can't grow a beard. Just doesn't grow.
Ty,
Just
to the
talking
viewers,
about that.
introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about you.
I fish for the Wild West Bass Trail. I've been fishing tournaments for 20 years. Live out here in Glendale. I tell everybody Phoenix, Arizona, because everybody knows where Phoenix is. And born and raised here in Arizona, and travel to California a lot to play with you guys.
Now, I know you're a dad and you're hustling on the road making that money in these bass tournaments. So it helps to be as good as you, man. But I know a lot of our viewers are parents as well, man. What's that like on the road, man? I know you got to be missing home 24/7.
It is getting harder and harder. I mean, like before I had kids, it was a lot easier to do. And, when I'm out there competing all week long and I come back, I was pretty bummed out about having to come home because you guys in Northern California, you guys don't realize how good you guys have it as far as the fishing out there. So when I get, back, I'm bummed out. But the difference is now, I got my son, Jaden, he's 6. My daughter's 4, engaged. So, I can't wait to come back. So when I leave, I leave. A lot of times, even at Lake Havasu, the 17-hour drive home, I'll drive all the way back and just to see my kids. So
Brutal, man. All right, so the topics for tonight: fishing around this whole COVID-19 virus. Then Ty's recent Havasu victory. Senkos, the love-hate relationship that competitive anglers have with the Senko, and why do out-of-towners hate the Delta except for Ty L? So let's start it off. Let's start it off with this whole COVID-19 thing. It's a pain in the butt over here in Northern California. They're closing all sorts of the lakes. Josh, I know you were at a lake that's open today. What is that lake?
Maloney's is actually still open. The Tuttletown ramp, for how long? It's probably not going to be very long. I mean, there was probably 50, 60 boats in the parking lot today, and that's exactly what's going to get it shut down. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's a couple other real small bodies of water that are open that I probably won't mention their name just so that they don't get hammered as well. But at the same time, it's getting rough out there. It's getting, a lot. There's a few of the lakes you can still get into. You could still, bank fish, but I mean, as far as launching a boat, there's not much. It's slim pickings now.
Now, I was under the idea I don't know how it is in Arizona for you guys, Ty, but I know if we are going out fishing to harvest, that is legal in the middle of this. Didn't you read something about that, Justin?
No.
No?
I think if you're doing it for
reading me the rules.
no, I saw it, but I believe it was just about if you fish for a living, maybe like out in the ocean and stuff like that, harvesting like that way.
Ew.
yeah, I read something that came out in California, and that's how I interpreted it too. But a lot of these guys is like, ooh, fishing, I get to go fishing. They just read that snip, but section B of that states, something that has to do with like catching fish on a commercial basis. So again, nothing's happened here in Arizona yet, except for a few of our smaller lakes. They did close down the ramps. So you can't get in unless you own a slip there. But most of our lakes here are still open, and they're encouraging people to get out and enjoy the outdoors.
So you guys heard it from Ty. There is no COVID-19 in Arizona.
Everybody go to Arizona.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Yeah, all these Californians now are running to Arizona.
No, there was a AZ State Parks was inviting people from California. I saw that flyer today or yesterday.
No way.
Just encouraging, people to come down, but keep the social distancing. Be smart about it. I mean, they did close off some of our facilities here, like the popular campgrounds and things like that. I mean, I went out to Pleasant on Sunday. It was just crazy how many people are out and just like, not a care in the world. So, I mean, that's not something I would do. I mean, when we go fishing, I launch, I never even see anybody. I fish all day and not around any of that stuff.
Adam, you were out on the Delta today, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. It seemed like 20-mile-an-hour winds. Was able to find a couple areas that was slick. It was high tide when I was out, and still hunting for that one fish.
No, you were in the Stockton Delta.
I didn't get a bite. Correct.
The one fish, you mean any fish.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just because
it's been pretty
April 2nd, I believe, doesn't mean the bite's on fire. Matt, I know you're planning on going to do a little side fishing. You planning on running to the lakes or the Delta?
Well, with the new information, I think I'm headed towards the hills. I'm going to be up probably late. Being Stockton's a little windier usually than up there, so I'm probably going to head up to the lakes.
Right on. So I know a lot of people are hearing about, all these different closures and this ramp shut off and that ramp shut off. Bank fishing is fun, guys. Anybody want to offer up any tips on your favorite bank fishing rig? Ty, if you were stuck to the bank, now I pretty much know this answer because I seen one of the baits you won Havasu on. But if you were stuck to the bank, you had one rod, one setup right now. What is it?
It's a Whacker Rig Senko. Period.
Color, size, come on, man, spill it.
Colors, I just keep it simple. I mean, these are all Senkos right here. If you guys can see it, all of it.
Don't show Kid
That's a
Mom.
lot. So, Kid Mom. Yeah, hopefully you're watching. But yeah, that's how I'm catching them right there. It really just depends. I mean, I keep my color choices pretty simple. And green pumpkin when the water is clear, a little stain. But then if the water's super clear, like a lot of our Arizona lakes, I throw baby bass, and when the shad spawn's going, I throw a shad pattern. That's pretty much it.
Wow, man, that was pretty solid. I was trying to use our conversation killer on you. You just stayed right through it, bro. I'm impressed. So I got randomly picked to shake my head and hold my thumb down while you made a whole entire statement just to see if I could interrupt you. So, luckily, I got an easy one because there are some really rough ones that the other guests, I guarantee you, are going to get interrupted with.
All right.
So, what, green pumpkin Senko? And if you're wacky rigging it, what hook are you doing? What size hook? What type of hook?
I use a size 1 decoy. It's a worm 20 hook. That's my favorite hook that I throw.
So size 1, just like a wide gap?
Yeah, it's just here. Here.
Put it
On his wall, Nick.
Right there. It's on my wall.
There we go.
Got like 20 packs of this right here. So,
yeah, I use a Mustad 1 and 1/0 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find that if there's a lot of snotty grass, I try to use the smallest hook I can get away with, because when I snap it through the grass, I feel like it clears the grass off better than a beefier hook.
Yeah, I don't use a weed guard or anything. I just use that hook because no matter how thick the vegetation is, how much wood, I throw that hook. That's it.
Yeah,
But,
pretty much.
A lot of times when I throw it, I mean, I could throw a Senko faster than you guys can burn a buzzbait down the bank. I mean, that's how fast I'm fishing a Senko.
Are you
You would
serious?
never think of, yes. I power fish with a Senko, weightless 5-inch. Figure that one
All
out.
right, give us an example with your hands.
So,
You're trying to figure it out.
Ask Joe Uribe. He saw me. We went out fishing, I think it was 2 years ago. Him and I team paired up to go fish Lake Pleasant tournament. It's a clear water fishery, my home lake here. And yeah, he was yelling at me to slow down. I'm throwing a 5-inch Senko, you know, just burning down the bank.
Now, do you have a nail in it? Or is
Nope. Weightless.
So do you think
it never hits
the
the bottom? No, it doesn't hit the bottom.
So what's your basis for that? That you feel as if the bass is going to eat it within the first couple feet?
Well, I throw it so far in front of the boat. My trolling motor is typically on 6 or 7 the whole time. The whole time I'm throwing it out there is at high percentage targets, you know, any turn, any big rock, any wood that I see. I'm just, you know, throwing it way out there, and then I'm looking at the same time. So basically, I'm technically bed fishing, but, you know, I'm using a Senko to catch my bonus fish. So, and again, I just fly down the bank. When people see me, all they're doing is they're seeing me reel in my slack as I throw it out there, and I just look on the bottom, shoot my slack, you know, try to feel for that bite and set the hook. And if I see a bed fish, you're going to see me turn around and fish for that bed fish. So I'm kind of multitasking.
Great about this? You know what's great about this video is we're talking a little bit about Senko fishing. And the previous video, we had Ken Ma on just hating on Senkos. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, he hates Senko fishing and he hates bed fishing. Well, I'm bed fishing with the Senko. So.
Adam,
so you guys are friends.
You are in-house novice bass angler. Did you throw a wacky rig Senko today?
Yes, I did. I threw it quite a bit on a spinning reel setup. I didn't fish it as fast, but I did fish it quite a bit.
What did he do wrong, Ty?
Fishing it too slow, man. You got to shake that Senko like it owes you money. I mean, that's what you got to do. You throw it out there, shake the hell out of it, reel it up, shake it. Yep, that's how I did it.
Make that Senko your
yeah, like it owes you money. So.
Hey, you know what's funny? I hear Travis talking. Travis, I don't think I've ever seen you throw a worm.
Well, lately I was out on I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday, I think. 2 days of high tide or bottom of the tide. So I had to Senko and drop shot because there was no water up.
Wow!
So I did.
You
but I don't throw a Senko.
On Senko?
I don't throw a Senko. I throw a Mag Fatty Z made by Z-Man Baits, and I'll wacky rig that
all
one.
of those too, Ty.
You mean you throw that one because it's because they're cheap, or what?
Well, don't lose it. Yeah.
That's gonna be. I'm looking at all the Senkos behind Ty there. That's got to be $6,000 to $8,000 worth of Senkos.
Probably agree with you.
I could buy a $6 bag of Mag Fatty Z's, and it will last me.
Look at that.
8 bags.
Everybody's hoarding toilet paper. I'm hoarding Senkos. I'm catching food with Senkos when it comes down.
Hey, you got to be able to wipe your ass with something.
Yeah.
Dang.
Hey, Frazier. Hey, man.
What?
When's the last time you fished a Senko?
You know what? I rarely do fish Senkos. I mean, I grew up doing it, obviously, and did a lot of it. But I usually throw a 7-inch Senko Texas rigged weightless at the deltas when I throw a Senko. And I'm pitching it in the tulies. And tulie edges, pockets, all that stuff for the bigger bite.
Right.
You know, every year it seems like there's a couple things you learn, and then you learn a couple things. You like one of them, you start doing it quite a bit, and then you go away from throwing something that's won you tournaments in the past, and you haven't thrown it for 3 years. So, you know, it's just like a Zoom fluke for me. I threw a fluke on every tournament I ever fished in the Motherlode Lakes, and I probably haven't thrown a fluke in a tournament in 2 years, and I won tournaments on that bait. You know,
yeah,
so
it's crazy how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gnarly, man. All right, guys. So with our first topic, we were talking about COVID-19. Okay, certain ramps being shut down. Ty mentioned the wacky rig worm. Matt, if you were taking one bait to go to a pond right now this spring, what do you got?
Ooh, a pond? That's tough. I mean, it's probably pretty hard to beat the Senko, but if I was going to say anything but a Senko this time of year, probably a chatterbait.
Chatterbait.
Just because you can pitch it, let it fall, pitch it in pockets, and you can do weed edges, and a lot of times you generate, there's a lot of bites to be had this time of year.
All right. things. Travis, you can't
Top
take
water.
You can't take the
I'm throwing a popper. I'm throwing a popper. I'm throwing top water, frog or popper.
Matt's favorite bait, the popper. Travis goes and swoops on him.
I gotta go top water.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So we got the Senko, we got the cheater bait, we got the popper. Justin, what do you got?
Frog.
Jerk. I should have. Okay. All right. We know the frog. We know the frog can go anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Josh Paris.
Texas
You've been
rig.
quiet.
Texas rig. I mean, you could put any plastic you want on it.
Is that
3/16
cheating?
quarter ounce, and catches them. What's that?
Is saying a Texas rig too vague? Thumbs up. Thumbs up for too vague.
Too big.
That's the whole reason I'm throwing the Texas rig, is because it's so versatile. I can put a crawl in there, I can go worm. I guess if I had to pick one bait, it would be like a 7-inch curly tail worm on a 3/16 ounce bullet weight Texas rig.
There's
All
your
right.
detail, Nick.
So
All right.
there you go.
Okay, Adam, since you are our most novice bass angler in the group.
Baby brush
now
hog.
You don't have to come up with your own. Pick one of these baits these guys suggested.
Okay. I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna pick my own, and I'll pick one of everyone's.
Okay, let's go.
Baby brush hog, watermelon red. And I do like Travis's popper.
You know what's funny is last year in the spring, I went out and I was fishing all my normal stuff and struggling. And one of my other buddies who fishes once or twice a month comes out with the baby watermelon red frickin' brush hog and spanks 3-4 pounders behind me. Not playing. Dude, that's so random. That is so random you picked that. All right,
That's
guys.
what I started on.
If you are stuck during this virus, go to a pond, go to a creek, try some of these baits these guys suggested. Now, Ty.
Golf courses are closed.
Oh, golf courses are closed. Yeah, perfect time to sneak out on a going on a golf course. You have a membership for it. And go fish the ponds.
Wake bait at night crushes them.
All right, Ty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you won Havasu.
Yeah.
How'd you do it, man? Tough year.
Man, so it's just little things that learn, like strategies and stuff this time of year, right? So anyway, I know one of you guys bedfish. I was watching the last podcast, and
Matt Fraser.
Matt. Okay, so this is just my strategy here in Arizona. Some guys try to win practice. Hey, I did that when I fished 15 years ago, but this time of year, what I do, because our lakes are super, super, super clear, I use that to my advantage. I just put the trolling motor on high, when I got to the lake. Wasn't in any rush to get there the first day. Got there around 8, plenty of sun. Got my trolling motor, did it for about 3 hours. My trolling motor was dead. So I had to go buy a new battery. So only had to that first Monday. But again, just saw a lot of, 2.5, 3 pounders. Tuesday, saw some more fish pushing up. We're coming up to a full moon. And on Wednesday, the magic happened. I mean, if you weren't looking on Wednesday, you were in trouble. I mean, I saw a lot of big fish. I mean, I had one cut that had 20 pounds for 4 fish in it. So got a good boat draw, went out there and stuck my one 5-pound smallie wasn't there, but I stuck the other 2 that went high 4 and a 6-something. I had 16 pounds for 3 fish. I ran to my next 3 5-pounders, and I mean, there's boats on them. So I decided to go fish for a 3-pound smallie that I had, and I caught a 2-pound smallie on just, throwing a Senko out there in front of the boat. And probably around like 9:30 or so, I ran into that 7-pounder. So I had 20 pounds in the boat at 9:30. I was pretty relaxed at that point. Took me about an hour and a half to finally get her to go. Actually, I got her on a jackhammer chatterbait of all things. I mean, I wasn't even planning on throwing that chatterbait there, but you know, I threw it past her tail, vibrator across her tail, and then, you know, that just got her fired up, and that's how I ended up catching that fish. So I had around 25 and a half at that point. Helped my co-angler out. I just want to, you know, thank him if he's watching. Just appreciate you being patient. I forgot his name. He's up in Washington. But anyway, he came all the way down for Washington to compete. So I went and took him into the London Bridge area. I mean, he got his bites, but, you know, unfortunately a few got off for him. But he still had a good bag for 3 fish, because I was sitting there on that 7-pounder. There was about a 3.5 and a 2-pounder that, you know, he was working. He ended up catching that big one, so that was pretty neat to see. Anyway, I caught one final one on a little wiggle work in the channel. That pushed me all the way up to 26 pounds. And then later on, I was just practicing again. I saw another like 6.5, 7-pounder that I was trying to catch, but I couldn't imagine if I caught that one, I would have had a mega bag. I mean, not to mention 26 is a pretty big bag for Havasu.
Yeah.
I mean, guys were talking about, like, what was crazy is there's another FLW event going on in Okeechobee. I think the weights at Havasu were higher than the weights at Okeechobee, so that was pretty nuts to hear. The second day, well, after the first day, it rained. I think we got like 2 inches of rain overnight. I came back to start on that 6, 7-pounder, and I was pretty bummed out when I couldn't even see an inch in the water. It was that blown out. I mean, I lost 60, 70% of my water the second day. And at that point, you know, you get that knot in your throat. You know, you just kind of like, oh, here we go. I mean, I'm not going to let this one go. I'm going to embarrass myself today. But picked up a wacky rig Senko. I threw it out in the front of the boat, got bit. That was a 4.7-pounder. And that kind of relaxed me a little bit. So I just ran in the back of every pocket, secondary point and back, through a wacky rig Senko. When the sun popped out, I flipped a flapping hog. And towards the end of the day, I picked up a chatterbait because the barometric pressure was lowering from what I saw, and the wind was just right. Went in the back of this pocket that had, you know, it just looked good. I found it in practice in some area I fished before. I caught one that almost went 4, gave me 18 pounds, extended my lead a little bit. Final day, I decided just to go for largemouth. I ran in the back of every single pocket on that main lake with toolies, and I just ran every pocket through a wacky rig Senko and a Nika rig Senko. But early in the morning, I did get a good start with, I caught 2 on a crankbait, 1 on a chatterbait, 1 on a Nika rig pretty quick in the morning. I think I had 4 fish in an hour. So,
You know,
again, I caught—
Hold that thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I want to elaborate something right here. This is kind of fascinating, and myself guilty, that if I'm going down a shoreline and I'm catching them on one particular bait, like you said, you got a couple cranking and then you got one on a chatterbait and then you're back to a Nico rig. Why were you jumping back and forth between these? Was it conditional? Was it element conditional, or was it situation conditional?
A little bit of everything, actually. So,
can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, early in the morning, if you guys want to buy a reaction bite, I believe that there's always a reaction bite if you land on the right area at that lake at any given time. So you got pretty much an hour and a half or an hour in the morning to catch a reaction fish. So that's what was kind of, you know, throwing reaction. You didn't see me throw it later in the day unless the condition changed, like if I see clouds dropping or wind blowing and things like that. You know, if it gets bright sunny with no wind and high pressure, you're not going to see me throw any type of reaction. You know, you're going to see me fishing slow. So, you know, I've been fishing local tournaments here for about a little over 20 years now. Obviously, I work, got a family to support. I never practice. I mean, there's a big tournament going on this weekend, and I'm not practicing. I just show up and fish these local tournaments. But over the years, what it's helped me with is just being able to fish the moment, fish the condition. So again, I just fish whatever is in front of me. When, for example, like, you know, low light conditions, I was throwing a green pumpkin Senko. You know, I was throwing a reaction. When the sun popped out and the wind stopped blowing, I was throwing a Nico rig, and, you know, the water, if the water was clear and it's shallow back there, you know, I'll throw the weightless wacky rig Senko baby bass color. When I'm in an area that's a little more stained, well, I'm throwing a Nika Rig green pumpkin, something a little darker. So everything just kind of had to make sense to me. And if it makes sense to me, it gives me more confidence. More confidence I have, the more fish I'm going to catch, and I'm going to be able to present the lure right. So again, when the wind stopped blowing, and the sun kind of popped out for that final day, man, I put all my ration rods away and just stuck with either the Nico rig when I ran to a secondary point, or toolies that were a little deeper. I wanted to get down there a little faster. And when I ran into a shallow bay with like inches of water back there, I was throwing a wax rig Senko. So really, I mean, it was just, Jack Farage fished for me the final day. And I think towards the end of the day, he actually told me, hey man, don't take this the wrong way. I'm like, what is it, Jack? He's like, dude, I've never seen anybody fish like you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Dude, you threw the whole sink at him. I mean, I literally had, I think 9, 10 rods out, and I was cycling through every single one and actually catching fish on every single one of them. But again, that just comes with my history at Havasu. It's a lake that I struggled at for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I made my first top 10 there 3 years ago. Last year I made a top 10, and then, this is my third top 10 as a boater. And, it just feels great to finally seal the deal on one. I mean, it's so hard to win one of these tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My last one was at New Maloney's. I'll tell you what, that one's a bad fishing tournament too.
So let me tell you something right now, Ty.
Yeah.
You're talking to one of the best anglers at New Maloney's ever is Josh Perry. That's in here.
So I was in the back of Bear Creek, and that whole tournament was just crazy because I blew it the first day. I had like 13 pounds. And the second day, I didn't start in the back of Ski Cove because I thought someone was going to be way back there, and I was totally wrong on that call. Was it John Pearl? He was leading the tournament from a spot I wanted to start on. I was the last boat out, so I didn't even go there until like noon. But little did I know he caught him on the first day, so that was the wrong call on my part. But the second day, I saw John Pearl back there, and I was like, hey, is that you, John? You're leading it? Man, good luck. Let me stay out of your way. I went around him. I catched like a 3-pounder. He hopped in front of me, so I went around him, catching another fish, and I left. And then I ran into a 5, a 7. I caught, I think the biggest bag that tournament at about 23 pounds. I went from 44th to 4th. Anyway, the final day, I ran, 2 5-pounders, caught, within 5 casts, both of them. So I was off to a good start. I had an 11-pounder, a 7-pounder, a 4, and a 5 located on the bed. So I was hopping between those 4 fish. And I had the 5-pounder. One thing I didn't know about New Maloney's is like, if you have bed fish, you better catch them quick if there's a lot of boat traffic because it's clear in the morning. And it started around like 10, it starts getting a little muddier. 11, but 12, you can't even see in some of these pockets anymore. So I ran into that situation. But anyway, when I came back, I could barely see the fish. When he ate, I could see like, something down there moving, like his mouth flashing. So I'll pop it, I'll see him flash, set the hook. He did that to me 5 times. And then I dragged my bait in, I set the hook on him. It wrapped around her gill. I caught her in her belly. It was a 582. I had to let her go. I would have won that tournament by 2 pounds, but that didn't make the show. But Mike Long would have won that tournament, though. So what I hear, allegedly.
He said it. He said it.
Allegedly. I don't want to get sued.
No video proof.
No, but that one haunted me for a long time. I mean, all the way up until like Havasu, honestly, because looking back, man, I was counting up the top 10s in the last 7 years. I think, the Havasu was my 14th top 10 at the regional level event. I mean, from the Columbia River, Sashka, New Maloney's, Delta, Clear Lake, Havasu, all those places, and then like, man, it was starting to weigh on me. I'll be honest with you guys. It was starting to get to me quite a bit. For the cord.
I still don't know why your trophy's not in the background. What is going on?
So I was actually going to set it up in the background, but I was like, nah, that's a little too much, man. I'm just going in my garage because, in my house, I got kids that are going to be running around, coming in and stuff like that. So just
Matt, Josh, if you had that trophy, would it be in the background right now?
Yeah, I would be holding it through the whole conversation.
So earlier, let me clarify. Earlier, when I set this up with Ty, he was in his trophy room, and trust me, there's a massive wall full of trophies. You don't even have to question that at all. And he said, I don't want to look big-headed, so I'm going to go out to my garage and stand in front of $8,000 in senkos.
That's a little better. Hey, look at your wall, man. I think your wall's more expensive than my wall. So
we all picked through that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap up Havasu, I know you've probably been asked this a lot of times on different radio shows and everything else. What is the one thing that you think, because look, I could go out there just like you, pre-fish that lake, throw all the same stuff you're doing, do exactly what you're doing. I could follow you around, but I will not be able to do it as good as you. Now, aside from saying all the previous knowledge of everything, what is that one technical thing that you think you were doing that nobody else was doing?
Honestly, I was fishing fast. I think that's what it was. It's just covering a lot of water, seeing what's there. I mean, like, the water's so clear, you can see them, except for, like, the second day. The third day, it cleared up a little bit. But the key thing for me is just my style of fishing is just fishing fast, paying attention, seeing the fish. And then if you see the fish, sometimes I pretend like I don't see them, whip around the boat and then reposition the boat to try to catch that fish. And that's paid off for me quite some time. Boat positioning is also another important thing. When, you see me fishing Havasu, I'm tight to the bank, man. I'm sitting like that 3-4 feet of water. I'm just hugging that bank as close as I can. And the reason why I do that is, like, let's say it's a clear day out there, right? And you see a blimp in the air, in the sky, you see a blimp. Obviously, that blimp's going to stand out to you, right?
Sure.
But if you see a blimp or, a hot air balloon, like, close to the horizon, like the mountains, you're not going to notice that as much. It kind of hides it. So that's kind of like my theory about boat positioning there. The water's so clear and those fish are so educated, man, that I call them professional bass there. There's so much pressure. The water's so clear. I mean, Jordan, he was telling me the whole time, and you know how he caught him? He caught 25 pounds of fish on 5-pound test line throwing a pro Senko. Had 25 pounds throwing that. So, again, obviously there's some big fish. Obviously he was in the right area. I never saw him. I don't know where he was, but if I had to take a guess, some main lake. Little tip or something that worked for me at Havasu is, I don't venture far. I fish local there. Stay in the main basin. The reason why is, like, again, that lake gets so much pressure. So, if there's river guys, they go up there and catch the best 5 fish every weekend and bring them back, release it in front of Windsor. The guys down south that like to flip and fish down south, they catch their best 5, they run back. So, again, I think it's a pretty good stocking program right in front of Windsor. The only problem with it is those fish are, educated. I mean, they're really hard to catch. You got to reposition the boat. You got to take advantage of every shot you get. Like, you got to fish the conditions there. Like, I see so many guys that, they died on bed fishing because they couldn't scrap the bed fishing deal because they knew that those fish were there. Well, I decided to scrap it because, it wasn't a huge problem for me because over the years, man, like I said, I show up these tournaments without practice, and it was pretty obvious that stuff that I found in that practice wasn't going to go work out. So I just ran a bunch of new water, and I was looking at the water clarity and fishing the conditions. Luckily, I made some right calls that call the second day. I looked at the barometric pressure. I knew it was going to lower. In the early afternoon. So when it lowered, I knew that was my window for the reactive bite again. I ran that water and caught that 4-pounder. That was key for me. I called out like a 2-something. So again, it's just a little bit of everything. I don't think there's anything out there that makes you like, oh yeah, that is, what makes somebody good because they figured out that bait or, that color or whatever. I'm pretty open to people.
You said something about college and a guy or something like that.
What?
Just kidding.
Hey, Nick. I think he's kind of said it without actually saying what one of his greatest attributes is. He can change up real quick, really, really versatile at any time. I think he said it without saying in a whole lot of words.
Yeah, what he said.
What she said.
What he said. Yeah. All right, thanks for elaborating on that, Ty. Josh Paris and I actually did a subject video on what we often think trigger better than average fish, and we were discussing either going much faster than you would assume or much slower than you would assume, because the majority of the fish see what all of us picture in our head is how the speed that we all throw, and we all try to go this average speed. And you hear any competitive bass angler, Frazier talks to me about it all the time, Paris talks to me about it all the time, showing the fish something different, showing them something different. And when a new bait comes out, like they're eating it. And a lot of the time, you can show them something different with your approach. And for Ty's example, it wasn't necessarily that the Senko was falling faster. He was covering a higher percentage of water and not even letting it get to the bottom, which was an entirely different approach to finesse fish while covering more water than anybody else. I've honestly never thought of doing it that way, not even letting the bait get to the bottom and fishing it faster. Definitely something I'm going to try very soon. So now here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to someone that doesn't like to fish Senkos much, but does fish Senkos, because Ty, I know you love them. I know Josh Paris, he's a guide. He has to use them all the time. I still fish them. I actually fish, I fish the Savage Gear Armor Worm, very similar to a Senko. It has mesh in the middle, which hangs onto your hook real well. I love those baits, but I'm going to start with Frazier on this one. Matt, you hear me?
Yep.
Why do you think a lot of competitive or professional bass anglers get frustrated with people who throw Senkos?
I would say because you can luck into a fish too, you know, like you could go out. I mean, it's the same thing. If I go out to Comanche or somewhere like that, and I'm looking for a 11 pounder, 12 pounder, 13 pounder, I want to catch a teener. You know, you're chasing these big fish, and you can put 10 trips in and be short, or get one fish out of all those trips, and then you hear about somebody throwing a Senko randomly out in the middle of the lake on a hump, or just up to the bank pitching it up there, and somebody catches a 13, 14 pounder. You know, so like it's just tough because if you're not doing it, you're not going to compete on the days that it's working. You know, so it's just like same thing for me. Just to put it in perspective, like when they're fish are suspended off of ledges and stuff, and Maloney's that same tournament that Ty was in, I was in. And I'm a bed fisherman. I didn't even see a bedfish, or knew that there were bedfish in that tournament. And so I was resorting to being up the river and targeting suspended big spots on ledges with the floating fly. So if you were with a Senko, you could target the same fish with a Senko on a weightless Senko and fish and flow off the bank.
Yeah.
Hey, did I just hear that right? He was talking crap about a Senko, but he was targeting big spots on a fly?
Yeah.
Boy, we're all laughing.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. So,
That's him.
Josh. So I'm jumping over to Josh Paris on this. Josh, I know you have your clients throwing Senkos all the time, but I don't think I've ever seen you throw a Senko on Maloney's, Comanche, or any of these other big lakes.
I definitely do, and it's funny the way that Ty was talking about how he throws a Senko. I used to fish a Senko identical to how he fishes a Senko. During the bed season, I would be firing it up, and exactly like you saying, as I'm burning down the bank looking for beds, I'm reeling up my slack, get to the boat, pull it out, fire it back up. I would do that exact same thing. I quit doing that because I started realizing there were quite a few.
Because it was for stupid people. So stupid.
Well, what I did find was during the spring season when I was doing that, there were times when I would pick a male that had a big female with him, that by picking that male ahead of time, I just blew my shot at getting hurt. So I've really dialed back on doing that to where I still throw senkos here and there. It's definitely, I fish them very fast the same way. I typically do them weighted, and I'm not patient. It's get them in, they hit the bottom, shake, shake. Nope, get them out. You know, just keep going. But
Shake.
yeah, that's kind of my outlook on them. Is or if I know, like just from swim bait fishing, if I find a really big fish and I'm coming back head hunting, there are times where you can't beat that weightless senko. You know, if I throw a swim bait and she's just not responding the way that I wanted to see her respond to that swim bait, the very next bait I'm going to is a 5-inch wacky rigged weightless senko. And I'm just going to sit way, way back and just keep firing up, let it get down. Nope, fire it back up. And I mean, I'll waste an hour doing that for a big fish, but.
Yeah, and then there's that finesse trick worm trick that I like to do too.
Yes, which I did.
Yeah.
That has become another big portion of that, which it's similar, but that trick worm, you talk about a slow falling bait and one that, I mean, that one you can't fish fast. I mean, I don't care how. I mean, it'll sink that far by the time you get your boat up to it. You know, like I mean,
did you guys see Mark Daniels doing that same trick with the methylate worm on the Rita MLF?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was crazy. I'm like, look at that. Mark's doing the trick. Banking too. All right. Okay. So now for the love-hate thing, yeah. In my opinion, I definitely think it's easy to luck into fish on a senko. But for example, I don't want people to look at this the wrong way. If I'm fishing a senko and Ty's fishing a senko, he's probably a better senko fisherman than me. So I probably, if I knew there was a senko bite, I would probably try to find a bite to maybe get, I think, what I would assume would be a better caliber fish than maybe what I thought was biting the senko, strictly because I knew he was a better worm fisherman than me. So understand, just because we think that a senko gets bit a ton, I mean, it's like a wacky rig senko is almost like throwing live bait sometimes, guys. So if you're just getting started into bass fishing and listen to this, by all means do it. But don't think because Ty went out there and won a tournament doing it that he was just lucking his way into these fish, because there's no way that's happening. The guy's won Angler of the Year in the Wild West Bass Trail. If you guys don't know about here on the West Coast, all of our lakes are very different. So you're talking about an extremely skilled angler out here going out and winning without pre-fishing. I would be scared of this man on tour if he had time to pre-fish. Yeah.
Hey, you make me blush, man. You make me blush.
Kick myself. Hey, one of your guys' speakers is a little bit loud. I think it may be on a desktop. Okay, so we have another subject before we go into bass fishing trivia.
Oh, geez.
Now, because of this COVID-19 thing and a lot of lakes shutting down, you're hearing a lot of guys going to the California Delta. Now, it's funny. I talk to a lot of friends that come out here and fish Delta events from out of town, and they go, I hate that river. I'll go out one day and catch a mid-20-pound sack, and the next day I catch 6 pounds. Ty, I know you've historically done well on the Delta out here. Matt Frazier, I always try to get Matt to go out with me, and Matt goes, I just hope it's not one of those days, you know? Yeah. So, Matt, let me ask you, Matt, what is it that you don't like about the Delta?
I don't like the fact that I'm not as good as everybody else that's real good at it.
Hey, that's honest, man.
But honestly, it's a big body. Obviously, it's a big body of water. You can drive for hours in the Delta. The tidal deal is totally different than fishing a lake. Chasing the tides, knowing what you're doing when you're chasing the tides, knowing what you're targeting, why you're doing it, where you're running to, planning out your day, what mats to punch versus what mats not to punch. there's a lot to learn. I mean, you can go and have a good day on the Delta. That's my notorious thing, is I can go there and have a great day on the Delta. And I feel like I just smashed them and had a great day. And then I can go and catch 2 fish in a major tournament, you know, and get spanked at that place too. So, you know, I'm pretty close to the Delta. I'm probably only 45 minutes from the Delta, and I'm an hour from all the best lakes California's got to offer, really, in my opinion. And
right.
I grew up fishing the mother lode lakes, and I was a lake guy. And, you know, then I obviously too many big tournaments are held to Delta. So I was, you know, forced to fish there, and I fished it a lot. And I think and to your point with Ty, is to be able to go there and not live close to that place and compete with the people we call Delta rats and Delta studs and whatever else you want to call them. That's pretty impressive, because I've been here a long time, and I fished a lot of those tournaments. And I can still get my, you know, you can catch 18 pounds and come in 20th place, you know.
So I want to elaborate on what Matt just said. If you guys know me, I'm a very avid Delta guy. I got a private lake in my backyard. Delta's literally 2 minutes out my front door, any exit I want to take. I think what it is, a lot of people don't realize that the fish bite on certain tides in certain spots, to where the tide's different. The tide starts to repeat itself sometimes a few days away. So if you don't pre-fish tides that are going to match what you have in that tournament, let's say it's mid-outgoing tide and you catch them on this bank pre-fishing, and you go in that tournament and it's top of the income, a lot of those fish in that spot will not bite. There's fish all over the Delta. And I know, Ty, you have not had time to learn these tides and time these tides. So I know you were doing something different for your success. How have you been doing so well for being an out-towner on the Delta? I'm curious.
You know, it actually all started, like, the reason why the Delta is a special place for me is I was at a really dark place in my life probably about 10 years ago. I mean, I had given up on fishing. I mean, I lost my business. I lost everything. And, you know, my brother called me to go to the Delta. I just said, what are you doing, man? I don't even have a job. I got interviews lined up. And after, long story short, after the third phone call, he's like, hey, man, I'll pay for everything, man. Just help me drive. I'm like, all right, cool. So just went. Long story short, after that, my first event ever at that level, you know, I found myself leading by 4 pounds, and I draw a bobby bear. So, you know, of course, you know, we got, you know, a forum over here, and, you know, I was pretty new to fishing. I saw a guy that, you know, was one of those forums like, oh, sponsored by ProCraft, Lowrance, Mercury, Looky Craft. I thought he was somebody. So he gave me some advice. Hey, call Bobby and ask him, tell him you're in the lead, you know, and, you know, ask him what he's going to do, what you need to bring, and, you know, ask him all these questions and stuff. It's like, okay. So I called Bobby that night. Yeah, I asked him all that. He nearly ripped my head off, you know, because, like, I don't like being stressed out, man. It's just like, I'm like, whoa. I was just, you know, somebody else told me this advice to ask you. So, like, you know, anyway, hey, we'll have a great time, Click. So anyway, rude awakening that day, because, you know, running a tournament, being in leading it by 4 pounds, you know, I think we all go through that phase where we first get into fishing, you think we're pretty good. Yeah, man, I thought I was like on a scale of 1 to 10, like an 8. I left there, I realized, shit, I'm a 3, you know. Just to see the mechanics of that guy, how accurate was the frog. I mean, that's something I'll never forget. I mean, just how accurate he is. And it just, you know, ever since I go to the Delta and Bobby Barrick's there, I know I'm not going to beat him frog fishing, so I don't even try, because that guy is good with the frog. So, but yeah, fishing with him, targeting, you know. I think at Delta, I think the thing that threw us off when we first got there, like, we'll cruise up to a big map, like, oh, look at all this, we can flip here all day. well, that's not how you want to approach the Delta. I saw that everything that he fished just had the right ingredients, you know, like too much of a good thing is a bad thing and too little of a good thing is a bad thing. So he just wants to look for the right ingredients to pull up to a bank, sparse to leaves, clean grass, clean water, not too much current, not too little. And yeah, he just went fishing, man. I mean, there was really no secrets about it. And he just went, and yeah, he had a great day that tournament. And I think he ended up making top 10. But anyway, just to see him approach the Delta, I got a chance to, you know, the year after I came back and I drew Charlie Massey. I didn't even know who he was.
Charlie's
and apparently, yeah, great guy, great fisherman that I soon found out. And this is when I realized how important the tide is, okay? Because, you know, I drew Charlie and we were fishing. His trolling was real slow. He's just, you can tell he's screwing around and waiting for the tide. He wasn't even trying. So kept on turning around to me. It's like, hey, what time is it? It's like, I don't know, 8:10. Okay, cool. And then, you know, when you go to the other side of the slough, you can control motors on high.
Yeah.
Well, no, his is like on 3, and he was just going, taking his time. I'm like, what's this guy's deal, man? So he turns around to me after about another like 20 minutes. He's like, hey, what time is it? I'm like, you know, 8 something. He's like, oh, we got to go. So he ran all the way across the Delta, went into like this one of his spots. And again, he went in there. I saw the guy catch like 19 pounds in half an hour. And he's all like, hey, we got to go. I'm like, what the hell? Wait for me, man. So I was lucky to draw him again on the third day. And again, that day we went in there a little early, but when the tide got right, you could tell. I mean, fishing was on. So anyway, the key thing I think of what I'm trying to say is like I was a co-angler there. So I saw like 2 of the best guys at the Delta, how they approached the Delta. That really helped me because the last time I did well there, I was the Wild West side. I think I got 3rd place there. And it was, you know, a combination of what I learned from Charlie and Bobby. And ironically, I was actually fishing next to Bobby the whole time, the whole 3 days on a totally different spot that when I fished with them. But I think for me, it's just you got 2 strategies, right? You can stay at an area, just figure it out and just fish, you know, where, you know, they're going to bite high tide, mid tide, low tide. And then the other strategy is, you know, I'll look at the tournament. If it's a springtime tournament like this April, if we would have had a tournament, what I would have looked at that is when's low tide? So when low tide hits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go check up on my beds and practice because we can't see them at high tide. So I'll just fish around that. And come tournament, if, you know, low tide is going to be around like 12, I'm going to start bed fishing around, you know, 10:30, 11, and try to bed fish and just go catch all I can before low tide. And with the tide dropping, you know, typically, you know, I kind of think about it like lake fish. You know, when the water is dropping, they pull out in front. So they'll pull out on a secondary point, something with access to deeper water, high probability areas like turns, corners, sparse tulies, that, you know, that type of stuff. And then when the tide goes up, I'm fishing as close to the bank as possible because I think that, you know, they're nosing right up to the bank. You see these, you know, fish like that here in Arizona. Like there was a tournament last year. We got second, caught a pretty big bag the final day, but I saw fish facing the bank and I knew the water was inching up. So as we were going down the bank, if you threw it outside in front of that tree, a wacky rig senko, they wouldn't eat it. You had to throw it between the tree and the bank. So picking up on little things like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're in trouble at the Delta, I'll give you one secret bait. It's actually one of these right here. So wacky rig senko, you know.
I've never tried one of them. I'm not familiar.
Never heard of it.
I'll keep that in mind next time I go out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We have made it to Bass Trivia time. This is the first time on this that we have done Bass Trivia. Now, I can only see 4 people at a time on my screen. But when I ask the question, first to holler it out gets the point. There's only 8 questions, so if there's a tie, congratulations. But we are going to vote on who we think yelled it out first because I can't see everyone.
As long as Matt doesn't win, we're good.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Who is ranked #1 in the world right now?
Otafo.
Jacob Wheeler.
Jacob Wheeler.
Jacob
You
Wheeler.
said Jacob
I said
Wheeler.
it first. I said it. I
No,
said it first. No, I said it first.
Dang it. Did I hear Matt or Ty?
I'm
I
gonna say
said it
Ty.
first.
Ty.
Matt.
Bye.
Okay, how many for Ty?
You can't see us raise our hand.
Okay, I
Three
got
on my
two
screen.
over there. 3? Oh, shoot, because I thought I heard Matt.
Oh,
Okay,
whatever.
so that's a
We're
tie.
gonna-
Is that a tie?
You heard Jacob Wheeler.
Hey, I got Asian kids, jerk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. So I would say I think that's a tie. So it's 1-1, Ty and Matt. Anybody disagree?
Got it.
Sure.
Okay. Fair? Everybody's good with that?
Sure.
All right.
Right.
I'm going to describe a rig, and you tell me what this rig is called. A bobber and a little jig.
Float fly.
Plum fly.
I said
I
float fly
got
first.
that. So it's 2-1, Ty with 2, Frazier with 1. Anybody disagree? Okay. This angler's name rhymes with soft spider.
Seth Fighter.
Yes, Travis has got one.
Wow.
Ty 2. You dropped the ball on that one, Justin. I know Seth Fighter's your favorite angler. So boy.
You should have said his last name, not his first name.
Come on, dude. Travis got it.
Come on.
Don't bring that
He's
weak
special.
stuff around me.
Don't hate.
Hey, this is bass fishing. Everybody needs excuses. Okay,
Hold on, he's writing us a note.
I'm
I'm drawing.
thinking. Here we go. What is the easiest bass fishing rig?
Texas rig.
Cinco. Cinco.
Rig.
Wacky
Rig.
Cinco.
Who just said wacky?
Cinco.
Matt. Uh-oh.
Shit,
2
not
tie. I said rig, Ty, not bait. Rig.
Hey, I only throw a whack-a-rig Cinco, so that's what I meant. I mean, Texas rigging.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's Matt.
Ty's got 2. Matt's got 2. Travis,
one.
you got 1.
I got 3.
Josh, what's going on here, bro?
I'm drinking beer. I'm just enjoying the show.
Catch up.
Are you on mute?
Okay, here's a hard one. Okay. In 1976, in
Oh, Lord.
1977, who won back-to-back Bassmaster Classics?
And
Rick Clun. Rick Clun.
Rick Clun.
Oh, snap.
Okay, Ty is winning with 3. That was impressive. That was impressive. All right, I like this. Okay, you guys got time right now. If Ty misses these last 3, Matt, you can pull on him, but you have to hit all 3.
Double or nothing.
Travis, you can catch up right here.
That's right. As long as Matt doesn't win, we're good.
Okay, you guys ready? Who was the first winner of the Red Crest Championship?
Jacob Wheeler. Wheeler.
Roland Martin.
Edwin Evers. Edwin Evers.
Edwin Evers tied with 4.
E3.
Wow. I think he's going to set a record for a guest right here. This is good. This is really good. E3, Edwin Evers, yes. Okay, here we go. Matt and Josh, you guys better know the answer to this or I'm going to be severely disappointed. You ready, Josh?
Let's go.
How many pounds is the world record bass?
24.
23.
23.4.
23.2.
23.6.
It's 22 and a half.
Who said, Travis, you didn't look that up, did you?
No, I said it the first time.
Travis has got it. So
22
4.
22 pounds, 8 ounces.
It's 22.4. The problem is in Biwa, Japan, the other guy caught a 22.5. but he has to beat the world record legally by 2 ounces according to IGFA rules, to where the original world record still has it, even though the fish from Biwa Lake in Japan was heavier.
That's why they share the world record. And I
Correct.
do know that.
So Ty's got 4.
He needed a Mike Hart weight.
Well, it's impossible to beat Ty, but Ty, I think this is your opportunity
He's got to
to
seal
go for
this.
a record. You
All
guys
right.
better hold Ty to 4.
As long as Matt doesn't win.
If the guest sets a record that other guests can't beat, this on our first try, this will be impressive.
I really hate losing.
Anything on our first try is a record.
I got to beat Matt.
Here we go. Who weighed 45 pounds for their best 5 in a Bassmaster tournament?
Keith Combs.
Leo Elias. Leo Elias.
Is it Combs? Keith Combs?
Nope.
Leo
You guys
Elias,
ready
man,
for
come
your
on.
second clue?
Skeet Reese.
He's known as one of the best frog fishermen ever.
It's Monroe.
Fred Rabias.
Dean Rojas. Dean Rojas.
Dean Rojas. 6 point out of 8. Very impressive, Ty.
Oh, Arizona guy. That don't count.
That's not fair. He's another local.
Kick them off.
He's not a local. Doesn't count. Runner up.
Yeah. Oh.
45
Wow.
pounds.
So 6 out of 8, man. Very impressive. All right.
Oh,
Hey.
man. That was a fun game.
Yeah, man.
Matt,
You
Matt,
guys really dropped the ball. You ruined this for me. I want you guys to know that.
Skeet, are you muted?
No, I'm not muted.
I'm
You're
drawing.
just mute. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Ty Al, we really appreciate you coming on and having fun with us, brother. How can people find you online?
Yeah, just look at my name. It's 5 letters. TAI, last name AU. I'm mostly on Facebook. I really don't do the Instagram stuff. So I got a page and a personal profile under that. But yeah, also we run a group, AZ Anglers. I think you're in it. It's just basically something that we started to promote bass fishing out here in Arizona. And, we're just trying to, promote the sport that pretty much saved me. So look us up. Again, AZ, like Arizona, Anglers. And, again, love to have you.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for chiming in. Let me scroll over to my next screen over here. Frazier, you tried to win fun for the home team. Josh,
Loser.
I don't know what was going on with you over there. Ugh, broke my heart. Travis,
Beer.
I know you were trying.
I was trying to be Matt.
All right, guys, I'm going to post
Never
up
gonna
everybody's social media names. If you can't see them on here, give them all a follow. These are all great dudes. Go follow Ty. Watch fish these tournaments. Watch Frazier fish these tournaments. Josh Paris fish. If you guys are looking for a guided bass trip in Northern California, hit up Josh Paris right here. I will put his guide information on there. Also follow Matt Frazier at Frazier Luck Fishing, and I'll put the rest of the Instagram handles on here. Ty, once again, brother, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
man.
you. Hey, take it easy, guys.